Here's what's on your feed today. Lawyers for the defense and prosecution trade sharp remarks during the cross-examination in Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial. President Bongbong Marcos calls the country's garbage problem critical after tons of trash piled up in waterways following heavy rains. Former Public Works Chief Manuel Bonoan claims senators received so-called leadership funds of up to 1 billion pesos each. A hypothetical Robredo-Tulfo tandem appears in a statistical dead heat with a Duterte-Marcos pairing in the latest Octa survey. And a giant inflatable gorilla puts up quite a fight against typhoon winds battering China. Good afternoon, I'm Pauline Verzosa. President Bongbong Marcos says the country's garbage problem has become critical after seeing firsthand the tons of waste clogging waterways in Pasay and Parañaque. Mobile journalist Francis Rivera now joins us live for more details. Francis, ano ba nakita ng Pangulo sa kanyang pag-inspeksyon? All right, Francis, you're on mute, so kindly fix your audio. All right, go ahead, Francis. All right, Francis, we're still having problems hearing you, so we will get back to your report later on in the program. Meanwhile, the death toll from the combined effects of the Habagat and tropical cyclones Maymay and Luis has climbed to 21. The NDRRMC said the highest number of fatalities was recorded in Benguet following a series of landslides triggered by heavy rains. 14 people were also injured while one remains missing. Infrastructure damage has now topped 2 billion pesos, while agricultural losses have exceeded 196 million pesos. Meantime, the entire province of Cavite and Calumpit Town in Bulacan have been placed under a state of calamity following widespread flooding. Meanwhile, former Public Works Secretary Manuel Bonoan claims all senators had access to so-called leadership funds, with allocations reaching as much as 1 billion pesos each. And now let's get more details from mobile journalist Daniel Dayao. Okay, Daniel, what exactly did former Secretary Bonoan say and reveal about these so-called leadership funds?
Yes, good evening, Pauline. Humarap nga dito sa Sandigan Bayan si dating DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan bilang testigo nga ng prosekusyon laban sa kasong malversation of public funds ni dating Senator Bong Revilla. So kanina po din sinabi ni dating DPWH Secretary na may mga leadership funds na binuo yung DPWH para mabigyang priority yung mga infrastructure projects request ng mga senators noong taong 2024. So kabukod kanina po din sa nasabi na si Senator Bong Revilla at Senator Jinggoy Estrada, may mga bagong pangalan na nabanggit si Bonoan, kagaya na lang ni Senator Bongo at Senator Robin Padilla. Pero kanyang idiniin na yung mga listahan daw ng proposed projects ng mga senador ay sinusumiti lang sa kanya. So ibig sabihin, dumadaan lang daw to sa kanya mula kaya DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo, former, and then ipapasa daw niya yung listahan sa opisina ni dating DPWH USEC for Planning na si Catalina Cabral for vetting. So sa madaling sabi, Pauline, itong mga proposed projects na ito, ine-endorso lang daw ni Bernardo kay Bonoan. So para daw ito mabigyang pondo sa pamamagitan ng pag-avail ng leadership funds. So kanina ang sinabi, Pauline, is merong 1 billion allotment per senator. Pero kapag hindi naman daw chairman, 500 million lang yung makukuhang pondo. So kung considering na nung time na yun, noong 2024 ay chairman ng Committee on Public Works si Senator Bong Revilla, meron daw siyang allotment na 1 billion peso. Pero alam mo, Pauline, nasabi din kasi ni Bonoan na yung budget at parameters ng leadership fund ay discretion ng Senate President, which at the time was Senator Miguel Zubiri. So nasabi niya noong 2025 din na halos lahat or lahat ng senators ay nag-avail ng leadership fund. Pero during cross-examination, nilinaw niya na hindi naman daw masama na mag-avail ng leadership funds yung mga senador na ito because they are entitled to have that fund. Pero ayun nga ang kanyang nilinaw din kanina na hindi naman daw ito masama, and apart from that, hindi din niya sinabi kung sino-sino pa yung mga senators. So ang pinaka-highlight lang niya dito is si Senator Bongo and Senator Robin Padilla. So kanina din ay nakuha na rin yung statement ni Senator Miguel Zubiri regarding this kasi ang sabi nga kanina is pagdating nga sa leadership fund, siya yung kausap ni dating DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan. So itinanggi niya yun, Pauline, yung pag-handle ng project list request dahil lahat daw yan ay dumadaan sa Senate Finance Committee. So ibig sabihin daw nun ay yung pagkakaroon ng institutional amendments ay hindi dumadaan sa kanya, pero hindi rin naman daw niya sinasabi na masama ito as long as hindi naman daw napupunta sa corruption. So for now, that's all that we have. Back to you, Pauline.
Daniel, some senators have already responded, including Senator Migs Zubiri. Ano yung kanyang naging tugon?
Yes, as I have mentioned, Pauline, yun nga yung naging tugon ni Senator Mig Zubiri. So ang sabi niya kasi dito or sinabi ni dating DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan na sa kanya mismo nakikipag-usap nga itong dating DPWH Secretary when it comes to the leadership fund. So siya daw yung nagtutukoy ng parameters and discretionary na raw niya kung magkano yung fund. So nasabi ko nga kanina, 1 billion if chairman and 500 million naman if hindi chairman. So ang sabi ni Zubiri dito, tinanggi niya ito at ang pinopoint niya dito is ang Senate Finance Committee ang tumatanggap ng lahat ng project list request.
All right, thank you very much for that report. That was mobile journalist Daniel Dial. And now we go back to mobile journalist Francis Rivera who joins us live in Parañaque. Francis, ano bang nakita ng presidente sa kanyang pag-inspeksyon dito sa tinatawag niyang critical garbage problem?
Yes, Pauline, tumambad nga sa kanya ang tuloy-tuloy natang mga basura at doon unang ininspeksyon at binisita ni PBBM ang pumping station sa Pasay City at matapos nga pumunta nga rin siya dito sa Parañaque kung saan niya nakita niya na yung halos yung improvement from yesterday's and the other day na resulta ng ilang araw na pag-uulan kaya naman nag-build up yung mga basura dito sa Redemptorist Water Channel. Pero pagdating dito ng Pangulo kanina, nakita niya nga na mas manipis at mas kita yung tubig mula dito sa creek na ito. Ito nakikita niyo sa aking likuran, no, ay ganito yung naabutan ng Pangulo, no, kakaunti na lamang yung nag-build up na mga basura or ito yung mga basurang nakalutang na lamang at mas kita na rin yung tubig mula dito sa creek.
Oo, Francis, kitang-kita naman na nabawasan na yung basura pero mayroon pa rin. So hanggang kailan ba magtatagal ang clearing operation dyan?
Yes, Pauline, ayon kay MMDA General Manager Nicolas Torre, nakausap natin siya kanina, magtutuloy-tuloy raw ang kanilang cleanup operation lalo na dito sa Redemptorist Water Channel, no. Ang problema daw kasi na kinakaharap nila ngayon yung pag-uulan, yung ibang basura nga nakukuha naman nila may mga dumadagdag pa rin naman pero as we can see right now may mga hinarang na sila doon sa gitna na mga trash trapper para nga hindi na mag-build up pa muli dito sa harapan yung mga basura, no. So doon pa lang daw siguraduhin na nilang makukuha na nila at hindi tayo binigyan ng exact timeline kung hanggang kailan talaga totally mauubos o totally makukuha lahat ng basura dito pero pagtitiyak ng MMDA at ganun din ng DPWH na tuloy-tuloy yung magiging cleanup operation nila hanggang sa mawala at malinis muli ang trick na ito.
Alam mo, Francis, wake-up call kasi talaga ito na kailangan ng mas maiging disiplina sa pagtapon ng basura. So with that, ano ba yung mga long-term solutions na naiisip ng gobyerno at bukas ba ang Pangulo sa pagpapatupad ng mas mabigat na parusa para sa mga hindi nagtatapon ng tama ng kanilang mga basura?
Yes, Pauline. Nasabi nga yan ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos kanina nung nagkaroon siya ng interview doon sa pumping station sa Pasay City, no, at hinalin tulad niya ito sa bansang Japan, no, kung saan nga raw merong mga proper proper na lagayan ng basura or ng mga basurahan, at kung hindi naman daw dinadalag daw dito sa Philippines, dito sa ating bansa na kulang daw yung mga nakikita niyang mga facility o mga basurahan, kaya naman kung saan na lang daw tinatapon yung mga basura, kaya hindi naman sang-ayon si PBBM na mas dagdagan pa yung fine patungkol nga dito sa hindi tamang pagtapon ng basura. Pero paalala na rin to para sa ating mga kapatid na hanggat maaari maging responsable tayo para doon sa mga basura na ating tinatapon kung saan even yung maliliit na mga basura from the candies na kinukonsume natin, yung mga maliliit na sachet, dahil yung kapansin din natin dito, Pauline, yung mga basura na nandito, hindi ito bago mga ilang months or ilang weeks na nakatambak ito na talagang inadot na lang dito mula to sa Manila Bay. Kaya naman ang paalala nga nila maging responsable.
Kasi yung hindi tamang pagtapon, Francis, babalik at babalik lang din itong mga basurang ito. But for now, thank you very much for that report. That was mobile journalist Francis Rivera reporting. Now, the Justice Department has filed a grave threats case against Vice President Sara Duterte. The DOJ says the case was filed before the Quezon City Regional Trial Court on Tuesday after an investigation by the National Bureau of Investigation. The case stems from Duterte's remarks during an online live stream. The vice president allegedly said she had instructed an assassin to kill President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez if she were killed. The remarks were also raised during Duterte's impeachment proceedings. Meanwhile, the DOJ dismissed a separate complaint against the vice president for inciting to sedition. Duterte has denied making actionable threats, saying her remarks were taken out of context and that the cases against her are politically motivated. We've got more stories when One Newsfeed returns. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching One Newsfeed. Tensions flared on day 15 of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial as the defense pressed a COA auditor on the use of confidential funds, while lawyers from both sides once again clashed on the Senate floor. And mobile journalist Amy Atienza now joins us live from the Senate. Amy, bakit ba nagkatensyon sa pagitan ng prosecution at defense kanina?
Yes, Pauline, kanina nga na nagsagawa na ng impeachment trial ay narinig natin itong cross-examination na ginawa ng Counsel for Defense kay Witness Sailin Del Campo mula sa Commission on Audit. At kanina kasi ang pinupunto din dito mismo ng defense ay yung paggastos mismo ng confidential funds na hindi naman daw pwedeng i-presume na meron ng misuse dito. So ang naging line of questioning for Attorney Lorna Capunan of the prosecution ay parang misleading daw yung nangyayaring line of questioning from the side of the defense at doon na nga mismo nagsimula yung objections pati na rin yung mga pahayag ni Attorney Lorna Capunan against the questions of the defense counsel para nga dito kay Del Campo. Kanina narinig natin no, isang instance before they had their break during the noon na yun nga parang Attorney Capunan was trying to limit spanking Attorney Christine Ferrer of the defense at though withdrawn yung statement na yon ay nagkaroon din ng manifestation mismo itong defense no na sana daw iwasan na magkaroon ng ganoong remarks pagdating nga dito sa pagsasagawa ng cross-examination sa impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte tackling on the confidential funds of the VP.
Okay, so Amy, aside from the word war and the heated exchange between the counsels, tell us about the line of questioning of the defense. Ano ba yung mga gustong ilatag kanina ng defense through Attorney Christine Ferrer sa witness na si Sailin Del Campo?
Yes, Pauline, kanina nga no, nung nagkakaroon na ng cross-examination, ilan sa mga narinig natin no, ay yung kung saan nga ba pinaglaanan itong confidential funds ni Vice President Sara Duterte sa Office of the Vice President at sa Department of Education. At narinig natin, ilan sa mga questions nitong defense no, ay doon nga sa possible na areas kung saan nga pinaglaanan yung confi funds, katulad na lang ng surveillance work, pati na rin yung security measures, pagdating lalo doon sa Davao. At yun yung pinipresume mismo at gusto sanang i-lead in ng defense team pagdating nga doon sa kanilang cross-examination dito kay Sailin Del Campo. At yun din talaga mismo no, yung naging question mark for the end of the prosecution. At kina-question nila kung bakit kinakailangan nga daw bang itanong ito dahil for the side of the Commission on Audit, ang kinakailangan nilang tingnan dito ay yung document mismo ng na pinasa ni Vice President Sara Duterte sa OVP at sa DepEd doon sa kanilang mga liquidation reports at accomplishment reports pagdating nga sa confidential funds na ginamit nila sa kanilang mga opisina.
Kanina kasi parang tinanong din ni Attorney Ferrer kay Sailin Del Campo kung yung mga activities ba na inilista ng OVP sa kanilang report ay matuturi ba nga intelligence-related work or admin work. Anong naging sagot dyan ni Sailin Del Campo?
Yes, kanina nga ay natatanong din itong pagdating nga doon sa quote-unquote questionable activities na hindi naman daw kinakailangan ng confidential funds tulad ng tree planting activities, Christmas parties. At ang nasabi dito kasi ni Sailin Del Campo ay kinakailangan nga din daw kasi ng documentary evidence to suffice kung saan nga ba talaga ginagamit yung confidential funds. At pagdating nga doon sa activities kasi ay hindi naman daw kinakailangan mismo ng confidential funds para nga ma-push through yan dahil meron naman daw operating expense na pwedeng gamitin ang Office of the Vice President at Department of Education para nga ma-push through yung various activities na gustong gawin mismo ng Office of the Vice President at ng Department of Education. So ang nagiging conclusion dito, Pauline, ay talagang kinakailangan ng sapat pa na ebidensya or documents para nga mas mapatunayan na confidential yung mga pinaggagamitan ng confidential funds ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero as per the activities mentioned just a while ago, hindi nga daw dapat ito pinaggagamitan ng confidential funds at wala daw ito doon sa JC 2015-01 na ginagamit na standard ng Commission on Audit to audit the expenses of the confidential funds of the different agencies here in our country.
All right, well, Amy, the impeachment trial will resume on Monday next week. What can we expect then?
Yes, Pauline, dahil nga natapos na rin mismo yung interjections ng senator judges pagdating dito kay Sailin Del Campo. Next week, on Monday, we are expecting to see Marivic Pareja from the Legislative Bureau of the House of Representatives para nga mas mapresenta pa yung confidential funds si Vice President Sara Duterte when asked kung ano nga ba yung possible pa na-expect dito sa magiging presentation ng prosecution pagdating kay Marivic Pareja. Hindi pa nila gusto i-disclose yung merits pagdating dyan sa case. Pero right after Marivic Pareja, pinasabpina na rin muli ng prosecution si Gina Acosta at si Edward Fajarda para nga din mas matalakay kung paano nga ba na-disburse itong confidential funds ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Those are two names that we have heard in the recent trial days kung saan nga sinasabi na sila yung special disbursing officer na naging payee doon sa encashment na ginawa ng Office of the Vice President at Department of Education doon sa confidential funds nga ni Vice President Sara Duterte sa OVP at DepEd.
All right, thank you very much for those updates. That was mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Meanwhile, a hypothetical tandem of Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo and Senator Raffy Tulfo is in a statistical dead heat with a pair of Vice President Sara Duterte and Senator Amy Marcos. The latest Octa Research survey shows 45% would vote for Robredo as president and Tulfo as vice president. 42% meanwhile prefer a Duterte-Marcos tandem. 8% would choose neither pair, while 4% remain undecided. Octa stresses the 3-point gap is within the survey's margin of error, making the hypothetical race a statistical toss-up. Both Robredo and Tulfo have earlier said they are not running for higher office in 2028. Meanwhile, Duterte has confirmed her presidential bid in the next election, while Marcos has not announced her plans. Now, a word war erupted on the Senate floor between Senators Raffy Tulfo and Pia Cayetano over a dispute on the assignment of minority members to key committees. Tulfo accused Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano of holding up committee memberships and, in turn, delaying work on several measures. Tulfo said his staff had repeatedly sought the Minority Leader's approval for senators who were willing to join his committees.
Pabalik-balik na po yung staff ko sa office ni Senator Peter Alan Cayetano para kumuha raw ng go signal nang sa gayon yung kanyang mga members ay ma-elect na sa committee ko. Hino-hostage niya po yung mga LEDAC bills sa kanyang pagtanggi na bigyan ng go signal ang kanyang mga kasamahan sa minority para pumirma.
Senator Pia Cayetano then took the floor questioning Tulfo's choice of words. She particularly objected to the suggestion that committee memberships were being held hostage, saying such language was not customary in the chamber.
Senator Tulfo, madali niyo naman akong tanungin. Alam niyo naman kapatid ko si Alan, kung gusto niyong may iparating. Huwag na ho kayo magdrama ng mga pa-hostage. Hindi ho tayo ganito dito.
But Tulfo fired back, denying that he was grandstanding or creating drama on the Senate floor. He defended his decision to raise the issue publicly before turning Cayetano's criticism back at her.
Simula nung ako'y maging senador, never ever po ako nagsinungaling, nagdrama rito. Alam niyo po yan, alam na lahat ng tao rito. Sino ang nagdadrama? Tumingin muna kayo sa salamin bago kayo magsalita.
Now, don't go away. One Newsfeed will be back after the short break. Welcome back. You're still watching One Newsfeed. The Habagat or southwest monsoon will continue to bring rains to some areas in the country. Until tomorrow noon, moderate to heavy downpour is expected over Occidental Mindoro. Pag-asa says forecast rainfall may be heavier in mountainous and elevated areas. The State Weather Bureau is also monitoring Tropical Storm Nanka outside the Philippine area of responsibility. It was last spotted 2,225 kilometers east of extreme northern Luzon. And in sports, Filipina tennis star Alex Ayala will open her Cincinnati campaign in the round of 64 as the number 17 seed. Ayala making her debut at the WTA 1000 event, one of her final tournaments before the US Open. The world number 20 will face either Romania's Elena Gabriela Rus or Poland's Magda Linette in her opening match. The Filipina star is coming off a round of 16 exit at the Canadian Open, where she also entered as a seeded player. The Cincinnati field features top stars including world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, Jessica Pegula, Coco Gauff, and reigning champion Iga Swiatek. And before we go, a giant inflatable gorilla appeared to be fighting for its life as strong winds and heavy rain hit China. The inflatable, which appeared to be a display for a local store, was seen flailing in the wind as Typhoon Dolphin brought heavy rains and flooding to parts of the country. Dolphin, the strongest typhoon to hit China this year, has flooded streets, forced the closure of tourist areas, and even disrupted construction projects. And that wraps up One Newsfeed, the only feed you need. I'm Pauline Verzosa, filling in for Denise Tan. Good evening.